Hey, what's up, guys? Toogie here, back again, and welcome to the start of my new Buffalo Sabres franchise mode series right here on NHL 18. Now, the first episode, of course, is more of a setup / episode 0, as I like to call it, where I let you guys post your input in the comments as far as feedback and what we should do for this series. And admittedly, there were a lot of good suggestions, a lot of people agreeing with one another, some conflicting stuff as well. So here's what we're going to do, right? Of course, there's always going to be the realism debates. We'll see. There are going to be moves in this series that some people define as realistic and some that they don't. It is what it is. There was also the rules versus no rules debate as well, which, that's always going to be a thing, whether or not, things should be a little bit more challenging or I should just have free reign. Of course, a lot of people want to see a free reign series so we can end up with another rebuilding hockey town, but there's so much tanking versus not tanking, which admittedly, I think we'll see how it goes, just because this team is a little bit more interesting than it was when episode 1 went up a few days ago. The talk of players playing within their roles, only using the trading block to make deals, limited free agent signings, how we go about those in terms of negotiations. There's a lot to consider, and here's the thing, right? I'm not going to say, here's an on-screen graphic and these are 100% the rules. We'll see what happens. What I like to do is and I do this with the 99% of my series, I like to look at the comments, at the feedback, and just kind of let the series naturally develop rather than holding pat to these set rules. So you can kind of tell by what I've brought up in terms of, trading, free agent signings, players playing within roles. This will be more of a realistic series. Injuries are on. Player morale is on. Owner mode's not, because it's kind of pointless, and I don't really want to be like, oh, hey, it's the end of August and I got fired already. So we'll see how this develops, basically. But as I mentioned, in terms specifically of the tanking versus not tanking debates, things have changed with this squad ever so slightly, because the Buffalo Sabres have acquired Jeff Skinner, which, if you want to talk about our ability to tank, it just got a lot more interesting in terms of whether or not we will actually be able to do that. As well, there was quite a bit of debate, but I gave in, and we've bumped up Casey Middlestat to medium elite. I don't know how this team is going to perform, because the EA sim engine is a mystery. We have had great teams falter, we've had terrible teams win cups. That's just how it happens. So what I'm going to do, and this is normally how I like to progress through series of mine, we're going to play it a little bit conservatively at the start. We're not going to look to make major trades. Of course, the freaking menu lag there, damn it. We're not going to look to make major trades from the beginning. We're probably not going to make major free agent signings from the beginning either. I think we will just kind of hold pat, see how this team does, and then take it from there, because we could easily be a playoff team this season. We could easily find ourselves in the Rasmus Dahlin sweepstakes, because, of course, we were not able to add him to the list, or, to the team again. I talked about it in the roster editing spectacular. It is what it is. You can't add every player from the 2018 draft to to whatever team they were drafted by, so it doesn't make sense to only put some of them. That's unfair. We left it as is. We'll see how this goes. Like I said, though, when I expect to make trades, we probably will use the trade block for the majority of them. When I look to sign free agents, we won't be overly cheap about it, or at least what some people would define as overly cheap about it. We'll see how this goes. But just know, again, and I mentioned this at the start of the Milwaukee episode as well, your feedback's duly noted. I have a Word document still open. I'm actually recording this after the first Milwaukee episode. I still have the same Word document I mentioned in that up right now with everything you guys mentioned. We'll see how this goes. But of course, it's the start of a series. Like I said, I like to let things kind of naturally progress. We'll see where we end up here in one of our 2 final series before the launch of NHL 19. Now, as far as this roster goes, and mainly in terms of prospects that we have the ability to sign, I think yet again, because we're at 48 contracts, I'm probably just going to leave this as is, especially when players have the ability to improve while being unsigned. But Hurley, Davidson, Fitzgerald, those are the main 3 to watch. Goaltenders, we don't have anything to worry about. What we do have to worry about is the fact that someone like Sam Reinhart is going to need to be signed after this, actually after the next season, I think. It's at 18-19. That's another factor, honestly, in the way these rosters are set up. Not a lot of moves are really going to be made over the next few seasons for us. I mean, outside of trades, especially around the league, with the way things are set up. And of course, with the salaries changing at the end of one year to another. Now, we have 6 defensemen. We need a 7th D-man, and it's probably going to be Matt Tennyson. Or not. Actually, yeah, it's because we have too many forwards. Tennyson's going to be the guy there. I'd rather have Casey Nelson playing in the AHL. Who can we send down? Right. I mean, who do we have in the minors right now, actually? Molson, Bailey, Porter. I think what I want to do is send down guys like Thompson, Middlestat. Baptiste might stay. But I want the majority of our prospects for this first season, at least, to be playing in Rochester, have that prime time playing time, and hopefully develop to be that much better. Although, of course, you could argue, well, hell, you have Jeff Skinner now. He might be able to make the playoffs, and still, that'll be true, even with some of these guys that have been sent down. I'm going to send down Baptiste as well, I think. I know he's good enough to play on the 4th line. I mean, hell, so is Bailey and Thompson. Or so are Bailey and Thompson. Proper English and such. But I feel like it'd be a little bit of a waste of them. Actually, I mean, if we send down Baptiste, and we have that be our top 12 with Evan Rodriguez, and probably call up Kevin Porter, I believe it is, to be the 13th guy in case of injury. Hell, I could call up Matt Molson, too, just to kind of sit there. Or we could have him play in the AHL and kind of work with Middlestat and hopefully have Middlestat just light the world on fire at the AHL level. And I think that's a good idea. Unless we have a prospect that has to sit because Molson's there. We'll see. But let's set up this team. What are we going to be looking like for this season? A lot of lefties. That's what we're going to be looking like. It's looking like we're going to be dealing with a lot of lefties. To be honest, playing Reinhart and Pominville on the wing might not be the worst idea. Just to have a decent amount of depth there, because of course we do have plenty of centers. 75, 85. Wow, the face-offs on Saboka are crazy. We don't want to run Sherry at center. And Larson we might not have to. Could just go... I don't know if we want Saboka or Berglund as the second line center, but that's what it's shaping up to be right now. Might be worth giving Gergensons. Maybe give him a little bit more time just to see if he can turn it around. Obviously, in real life, some doubts over Gergenson's future, but might be worth giving him that better opportunity there. This would be the one downside to not just playing somebody on the far side. You know what? Yeah, let's go Sherry, Reinhart, Pominville, and we'll just play someone like a Scott Wilson on the far side, perhaps. Saboka Berglund. Actually, that might not be too bad right there. That might not be too bad. Larson, Saboka, Berglund. I mean, put it this way, you have a center who's going to have to play wing. That's pretty much just how it's working out. So, Skinner, Eichel, Okposo as a top line. Not completely awful. Sherry, Reinhart, Pominville, Larson, Saboka, Berglund, Wilson, Gergensons, Rodriguez is how it's shaping up at the moment. Is this team the type of team that you would expect to make the playoffs? Obviously not, but crazier things have happened in this game. Defensively, McCabe, Ristolainen, Scandella, Bogosian, Beaulieu, and Hunwick. Goaltenders, Hutton and Allmark. As some people are arguing Allmark should have had a slightly higher overall. I kind of disagree, which is why he stayed the way he is. I think the more exciting thing for this season is going to be setting up Rochester and just seeing what they can do. Now, I'm going to make Luukkonen the starter and probably have Johansson as the backup just to see if we can have them develop. So It's a bit of a risk to not have Scott Wedgwood in the lineup, but if this team's slightly worse off because of it, it's worth the risk just to try and get that development. So let's see, we have Borgen, Redmond, Nelson, Fadoon, probably, maybe scratch Zach Redmond. Who do we have on defense? Hickey. Wow, we actually do have some prospects. Yeah, we don't even need to sign anybody. So Hickey's there. Bryson Martin, Devontae Stevens, Arvin Atwal, who is not signed. I don't believe he is not. And Paquette Bisson. So we have 3 players here that I would like to get into the lineup, which means one of them will have to sit. But Redmond and Taylor Fadoon will be out. So let's see. We have Hickey, 21 and a 70. Martin's 21 and a 65. Stevens is 20 and a 63. We'll bring in Brandon Hickey at the very least. And Taylor Fadoon. You, sir, will probably sit for Bryson Martin. Maybe. You know what? Devontae Stevens. Let's bring in Devontae Stevens. We'll see what he can do. And we'll have Goulet play there. And that'll be our defense. So obviously, like, the development of Borgen, Goulet, it's going to be a pretty big factor into what our defense shapes up to be in the next few years. And do we have anybody forward-wise? Yes, we do. Rasmus Asplund needs to be put into the lineup. Anybody else? Tyler Randall, I love you, but you might be the next guy that has to sit. Karabasic's not looking too good, but if we could develop him a little bit to the point where maybe someone offers to trade for him, that would be tremendous. Do we have anybody else? Chris Cuolo, no thank you. Ogilvy could get into the lineup, and then Cornell probably should get into the lineup too. So we have 2 other guys that would ideally be in the lineup, which means Matt Molson is probably going to sit, just out of necessity. Let's say that we put Ogilvy there. Not the best potential on Ogilvy, to be honest. He might sit as well. It really comes down to him, Malone, or O'Regan with those bottom 6 potentials. O'Regan is the oldest. It's got to be Malone. It's got to be Malone that sits for Eric Cornell. And with that, we are looking okay. Thompson's not the best center. Cornell's not the best center either. And let's see, what do we got? So who's the best center of these players? Nobody there, that's for sure. 72 for Thompson, 72 there. All right, well, I guess we have our answer. Just take Baptiste off the wing. And I think, actually, we'll probably keep Nylander on that top line. Nylander, Bailey, Baptiste on the right-hand side with Karabasic at center. That works. And then obviously Middlestat will be on the higher line. Asplund, we'll bump up to the third line. AHL team's not looking that bad. The big thing here, of course, is the fact that we're running Middlestat on the left. But he's with Thompson and Nylander. I'd like to think they'll be able to do some damage. And that we will be able to hopefully make the playoffs down in Rochester. We're listed as rebuilders under both, which actually, then again, I think that's just kind of a universal thing. So we are good to go. So let me double check the scouting, even though I know I set it up a little bit forgetful. Let's move forward. Again, there's not a whole hell of a lot to do early on. I don't like at the beginning of a series just going, okay, now let's change the entire team and trade this guy and trade that guy. It's going to be a slow kind of process here, as you would expect, to turn this team into a winner. Now, again, if we make the playoffs in year 1, I'm not going to be surprised with the way this game works. And obviously, the addition of a Jeff Skinner, who is leading our team in points here in the preseason, changes the game quite a bit. Now, again, like I said, keep in mind it was, or I don't know if I said this here, but it was Skinner for Cliff Poo straight up because you can't move draft picks. So keep that in mind. That was the only thing that happened. Picks and trading, nothing yet. Signings for Stieg to Vancouver, Winnick to Colorado, Hartnell to Montreal, Camilleri to Columbus, Hansen to Colorado, which I believe I moved him to an international team, but he's still showing up. That's really weird. Of course, he signed in the KHL. Toby Enstrom to Edmonton, and Rick Nash to Carolina. You'll notice there, too, most, if not all of them, were one-year deals. So it's kind of promising to see the AI GMs playing it wisely and safely when in year 2 and in year 3, the salary situations are going to be drastically different. Now, something else I wanted to address, one of the more thumbs up, if not the most thumbs up comment, was in regards to scouting and whether or not there should be limitations on scouting. And I'll tell you this, the gist of the comment was that every year I should have one region that I can scout, which, I like that idea. Put it in a randomizer and say, okay, at the beginning of the year, this is the only region that we can scout. I feel like that'll work better for a Draft to Glory. Just going to throw that out there. And if you see the Draft to Glory World Tour in NHL 19, that comments why. I'll just throw that out there. I feel like that works better for a series where we're so dependent on drafting. Whereas, yeah, it's going to be a factor here. Emlyn to Ottawa, Pavlik to San Jose. But for a Draft to Glory style series, I feel like it would be that much more impactful, essentially. So I do like that comment. You'll probably see it in a certain, in a different form, in a different series later on down the road. For this, though, I don't think we're going to do anything too crazy in terms of scouting limitations. With the amount of Draft to Glory series we've done this year already, it might be nice for these last two series to not have any limitations as far as who we can draft. But one thing here, no captain for this season, which I kind of like. I mean, I think we'll have Eichel be the captain in the future. I think we will. I can't remember if Eichel was number 15 or if he just changed his number to 15 either. Some Sabres fan will tell me. You don't even have to be a Sabres fan to tell me. The only thing I'd probably change here is just making Pominville an alternate instead of Okposo. I kind of did a similar thing with Milwaukee. Maybe we'll wait until the second season to name a captain. Maybe we'll wait. Let's go with the Toronto-style 3 alternates, as we had ourselves one hell of a postseason, I wish. As we had ourselves one hell of a preseason. Will that translate into any sort of success in the regular season? We are about to find out. Let's get the show on the road. Not sure how I feel about the morale system being on. I've kind of enjoyed the majority of the year not having those pop-ups all the time. But the crowd, the people had spoken. Let's see here. So signings, Hemsky to Toronto, Kanzig to Toronto, Emlyn to Ottawa. There you go. So just to try and keep up to date on the signings and any moves that may have been made. You know me, I'm normally, or maybe you don't, but if you've watched any of my series, you know that I'm typically kind of terrible at keeping up to date with that, especially early on in the series when I probably should keep up to date with it. So just try to do what I can as we lose to New Jersey 7-1. Oh, that's not promising, is it? All right, 2-3-1 to begin the season, and Pominville is already out until January with a concussion. Well then, I talked about this in Milwaukee as well, in the Milwaukee episode that should be up alongside this one, where we're using the same sliders that we've used in the Ottawa series. And for the most part, the Ottawa series has been quite kind to us in terms of not really having to deal with that many injuries. And now here we are. We've already lost one of our better players for really the majority of, a good portion of the season. Maybe about half the season now. That's unfortunate. What can we do here as far as the lines go? I'm not going to worry about handedness right now. Johan Larsson, how do you compare offensively? 82s. Saboka's attributes. I feel like Saboka was already... There are going to be some players who are already like the overall that I would have put them at, and as a result, nothing's really changed. And they still kind of have their EA attributes, so that could be a factor. We'll go Gergensons, Berglund, Larson. Second line... this is tough. I think we're still going to have Skinner, Eichel, Okposo. And we'll have... Let's see, who's the better center? We'll have Sherry, Saboka, Reinhart. That's the second line. Defense is still good. Goaltending, of course, So I'll tell you this now. I believe, now this is the third video I'm recording today. I recorded an Ottawa episode and a Milwaukee episode. I believe it was the Ottawa episode where I mentioned seeing a cat outside of my window that the dog was staring at, and she restrained herself. She didn't bark. She barked this time. So sorry for that filthy jump cut. Point being, maybe Carter Hutton can lead us to victory. We'll see. Possibly. I don't know. I mean, oh, well, hold on. Oh boy, it's been a long time since I've seen this. I was going to say maybe Hutton and Allmark can lead the way. There are some players that want to meet with you. Sure, let's talk, fellas. Or fella, Matt Hunwick, what's up? I've been underperforming lately. Have you? What's been going on with you? Yeah, you've been underperforming, Matt, but that's okay. I forgive you. Dude, it has been so long since I've done this. Oh my god. We need to see results or you're going to start feeling the consequences. Everyone goes through rocky patches. You'll turn a corner. Numbers are black and white. We need you to produce. I know you have it in you. I don't know if you have it in you. You'll turn the corner soon, hopefully. Doesn't like the... Oh, well, fuck you, Matt Hunwick. How about that? Doesn't like the kid gloves approach. There's a reason the Bruins got rid of you back in the day, you hoser. Anyway, let's move on. Don't like the kid gloves approach. I'm just trying to say I have confidence in you, and you're like, oh, screw you, Hunwick. You're traded. I'm going to sit you down for Casey Nelson. Probably. Kids gloves approach. Unbelievable. Matt Hunwick, ladies and gentlemen. Anyway, we're on a decent little stretch here, aside from that loss to the Bruins, and then we lose to San Jose. We're just not good on Saturdays, apparently. Too many players out on a Friday night partying, perhaps. Get it together, fellas. Let's go goalies for 2 weeks, even though, of course, there won't be any game-changing goaltenders outside of maybe the generated goaltenders. But we are 6-5-1. The numbers that have caught my eye, though, Rochester, 1-8-1 for the Amherst to begin the year. Yikes. That is not what we were hoping for, but you can see with 13 points, it's not like we're already out of the race. It's still looking okay. The one thing I want to do here, though, is call up Matt Molson, because he's going to be whining about his playing time. So we'll just call him up, and he'll sit there, because I said so. He wasn't playing anyway. So that works. People are pissed about him leaving the team. I didn't miss stuff like that. I'm sorry. I didn't miss that. No player's going to be like, I'm upset because somebody got called up. No, who the hell would be upset about that? You're going to be like, yeah, go get him back. Get back in the lineup. Your career's been a train wreck ever since you got that big time contract. Molson, I probably will regret it. Yeah, I'm not even going to say anything to you because none of those answers are good enough. I'm not going to say I'm going to ignore this stuff. The lackluster play of this team's been a distraction. The season just started. Now you see why I don't keep this stuff on. It's too random and I hate it. Yeah. You know what, Tage? How are you doing? You have 2 points, buddy. You have 2 points. Get out there and prove to me we can do better. Yeah, there you go. No difference made. Oh boy, that's okay. That's all right. Baptiste has 5 points in 10 games. He's leading the way. I said I had a feel in Rochester, or at least I was thinking. I don't know if I said it. Again, I've mentioned this probably in both of the videos I recorded today. It's about 90 degrees in this room. It's not pleasant. But I thought Rochester might have a chance to make the playoffs, although, again, not having, I believe it was Wedgwood, in the lineup down in Rochester might hurt their chances. Didn't think it would hurt their chances this much, yet they're 3-10-3. So, not overly ideal. Let's scout the defense in the OHL for 3 weeks, shall we? 8-8-2, midway through November. It's looking like we're closer to the Darlene sweepstakes than anything else. We're currently in 7th in the division. Montreal currently on top of the division because of memes and magic and rainbows. Let's see what's going on with this team, though. Although, lineup-wise, what really are we going to be able to do differently? There's not that many changes that can be made because there aren't that many players who are going to be pushing for a drastically different spot. That third pairing is garbage. Right, let's swap Hunwick and Bogosian just to kind of get something different going there. Although Scandella and Bogosian, they weren't terrible, but yeah, let's change that up ever so slightly. And then, I mean, the AHL squad, we're gonna leave it. They're not going to be good for obvious reasons. We'll just do what we can, I suppose. So let's continue onward. I do want to make it at least into December. I'm not sure how long of an episode this will be. Definitely going to kind of baby step it and just kind of take our time going through this first season. Let's go ahead and send to December 1st. Again, we're at 8-8-2. I want to kind of get a look early on here of where we are shaping up to be. 3 straight wins. All right, that's not too bad. And we'll follow that up with multiple losses, right? All right, so we're a win 3, lose 3 type of team. That is not good news if you did not want us to be in the Darling sweepstakes. This Berglund's going to be out for about a week, which also isn't tremendous. Why do I have to auto-fix the roster? Don't I have 12 forwards already? What the fuck? Do I not? 1, 2, 3, 4, counting with Tugi. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. No, I got 12 forwards. What are you talking about? Auto-fix roster. Oh, there's a goalie hurt. Oh, boy. Well, Carter, how hurt are you? Let's call up Scott Wedgwood and see how long Carter Hutton is hurt for. Yikes. Let's just go best lines at the moment. Matt Molson, welcome back to the NHL. Let's go Gergensons, Wilson, and Porter as the fourth line. Third line can be Molson, Larson, and Rodriguez. Sobotka. Let's go Sherry, Sobotka, Okposo, Skinner, Eichel, Reinhardt. And defensively, again, we'll make that minor change. And then Allmark is there and good to go. How long is Carter Hutton out for is the question as we win our final game of November. 12-11-2 on the season early on. And the Amherst have picked up a little bit of momentum. Pittsburgh is 16-6-4. Yeah, just a tad bit better than we're doing. Just a tad. Let's take a look at the injury report. I do suppose that is the most intriguing thing right now. What are we dealing with? Sprained ankle, so Hutton's out for a couple of weeks. Berglund will be back soon, and then again, Pominville is still dealing with a concussion. Right. Are there other teams that are getting as just destroyed by injuries as I am? Grabner's out. Like, do any other teams have more than one injury? Wow, Brooks Orpik. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. Jake Virtanen's out until March. Good Lord. Alex Killorn. So no other team seems to be dealing with the amount of injuries that we're dealing with. Borowiecki with a concussion. Brady Shea has separated shoulder. But there are teams that are dealing with injuries, for sure. Some of them are significant. But, yeah, no other teams seem to be dealing with as major of injuries. There were a couple of the teams that didn't check there. We saw the majority of the league. And that's that. But, yeah, from there, the one thing I want to check, before we get into looking at some stats around the league, any trades? No trades. And other signings, Colborne to Vancouver, Bieksa, Dominic Moore back to Boston, Chason, Stewart, Stempniak, and a couple of other signings as well. We may have missed a few, but that's okay. Let's take a look around the league here. So, I mean, Jack Eichel, the fact he has 22 points in 25 games, we were, of course, concerned about Jack Eichel. He underperformed, I think that's putting it nicely, in another series that we did this year. But right now, he's looking okay. Bruins are up in the first, and we are currently on 26 points. 32 points right now to be in one of the top 3 spots. We have 2 games at hand. It's not a terrible position that we have found ourselves in. That is what I mean, though, about the EA Sim engine doing what it wants, as the Arizona Coyotes are currently the top team in the league, although look at that, Boston on 23 games. That's not going to hold for that much longer. Worst team in the league, the New Jersey Devils. Might have to do with that Corey Schneider injury, and I guess Keith Kincaid isn't getting it done. Still early, though. We're only a quarter of the way. A little bit over a quarter of the way. A little bit under? Over? This is 20 to 28 to 23 games, whatever. We're about a quarter of the way through the season, right? Yeah, we'll be okay, hopefully. And then point total-wise, I mean, Eichel, Okposo, Skinner, all kind of doing well. Larson and Berglund doing a little bit better than I would have expected. I'm not really complaining. This team's doing about as well as they could. Carter Hutton, though. Yeah, that's not good. It's a good thing Allmark's playing out of his skull right now, though. That would explain why we are anywhere close at the moment. Tuukka Rask leading the NHL in wins among goaltenders. Point totals for defensemen: Carlson, Letang, Doughty, Ekman, Larson, and Klingberg, the top 5. Don't really have any disagreements with that. And forward-wise, McDavid, Crosby, Kucherov, Pacioretty, and Drouin clearly working well together as well. No real surprising names outside of maybe Buchnevich being on 25 points. And of course, because of the glitch when editing players, the rookie race, who cares for year 1? It's not going to matter. Although you might as well give it to Clayton Keller at this point. Still a tad bit early, though. With that, though, we're over the half an hour mark. I think I'm going to call it here. I mean, if you're familiar with this channel, you'll know we do the long-form style of videos here. But I am going to end it a tad bit early, just to try and hopefully end up with some slightly better luck when it comes to injuries next time out. And also, as well, you guys can kind of chip in, let me know what you think as well, as far as what we're doing, how we've kind of elected to do things here. I'm not even going to talk to Wedgwood. There's no point. Again, if there was an option to be like, hey, Scott, I mean, you're here as a backup, so cool. Just do what you can if you get a game. Carter's going to be back soon. Instead, it's like, hey, Scott, you're here. Keep working hard until I send you down in a week. Not a big fan of it. It needs to be fine-tuned. But we've talked about that, and that's a discussion for a different time. What I will say for now is thank you very much for watching. It is appreciated. I'm excited to see how this series plays out throughout the next month or so. Hopefully you feel the same way. You know what you can do to support the video on the channel. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and share, and notification bells, and all the fun stuff. Twitter and Twitch links are in the description. Give me a follow on both of those platforms if you have not already done so. And until next time, have a good one. Take it easy. Goodbye for now. Yeah.